You are welcome to another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. There has been plenty of talk about the way R. Kelly's ex-girlfriend Azriel Clary flipped on him and joined the government side, all because she was granted illegal access to R. Kelly's restricted prison communications in form of emails and recorded phone calls during which he spoke to his other girlfriend Joycelyn Savage, and also to his attorneys at that time. From these records, Azriel was able to hear R. Kelly tell his attorney that he was not planning to leave Joycelyn for Azriel, which violated his client-attorney privacy rights, and also read his emails to Joycelyn in which he promised he would never leave her. How a potential defense witness managed to access this highly restricted information, which requires a warrant to be issued by a federal judge before it can be retrieved for any reason whatsoever, is still difficult to explain. What we know, however, is that this is not only illegal, but should also have seen R. Kelly immediately acquitted the moment it was discovered that this is what really happened. This illegal approach by government in their attempt to take R. Kelly down offers him his first major open exit from prison, largely because on top of being illegal, it also tantamounts to aggravated witness tampering. In his recent phone call from prison, R. Kelly intelligently outlined these infringements to his rights, suggesting the government is treating his matter differently simply because he is a celebrity. But being a celebrity does not make him a special citizen that laws should first be remixed to deal with him. There is no special constitution to deal with celebrities in America like the government and the DOJ is trying to insinuate, he concluded. R. Kelly is very right when he says that, and surely, there is no way the appeal court can miss out these illegalities by government to leave them unpunished. And the fact that Azriel Clary turned out to be the government's principal witness, accounting for 90% reason for R. Kelly's imprisonment, means that if her case is dropped, R. Kelly will more or less be a free man again. There wouldn't be much reason for him to be locked up if it wasn't for this particular witness that simply testified against him out of rage because he was not willing to leave the other woman for her. While R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean made it a point to make several post-trial fillings right after she had taken over the case, demanding that the RICO charges be dropped, citing government's failure to prove an enterprise, the cocky New York federal judge Ann Donnelly, who has only proved to the world she operates on emotions and sentiment, was quick to dismiss her demands, indicating that there was no need for government to prove an enterprise where it already existed. This shows that the judge was focusing of R. Kelly's business organization as the illegal enterprise, but she is so wrong. The laws governing the application of RICO charges suggest that the members of this assumed enterprise must have a common purpose with regard to committing the series of crimes, but when it comes to the crimes R. Kelly is accused of, no other people are mentioned as potential culprits for the same. If I own a lumbering company, for example, and employed 10 people in the forest whose job is tree felling, and from time to time I leave them in the forest and go rob a bank alone in the night time, it does not make these people a part of an illegal enterprise. Even if I use the resources made from the lumbering business to facilitate my bank robberies, or even go as far as calling one of them to send me money to use when I am out there in the night, which they have to do considering I am their boss, it doesn't necessarily make them part of a racket to rob the banks. According to Judge Ann Donnelly's reasoning, though, such a thief would be charged with RICO violation only because on top of being a bank robber, he also owns a company of lumberers back in the forest. Ironic, isn't it? The fact that the government miserably failed when it came to proving an enterprise alone is enough reason for the RICO violation charges to be dropped. And because this contributed the largest share of his New York 30-year sentence, this too is yet another open exit that could see R. Kelly escape the unfair prison term and regain his freedom. The government attempted to justify their bogus RICO charges when they introduced his former employees Darryl McDavid and Milton June Brown to the mix, having them appear before the Chicago court as R. Kelly's co-accused. To the government's disappointment, however, these two were duly acquitted along with R. Kelly on obstruction of justice charges, which further weakened their claims of RICO violation back in New York. Another open gateway for R. Kelly to exit the prison gates is government's failure to prove the Mann Act violation charges. While the government celebrated what looked like a landslide win against R. Kelly at the New York trial, where Judge Donnelly declared him guilty for all 10 counts, something which wasn't true, it turns out they were technically wrong when it came to the Mann Act violation charges. A closer look at the conditions that govern the application of this act will show you that R. Kelly is an innocent man when it comes to this white slavery law. The main trigger for the Mann Act to apply to a case is the interstate commerce, which simply refers to the transportation of human beings across state lines. However, the cap that disqualifies the claims that R. Kelly violated this act is the requirement of intent to commit the crime in question to be the reason for travel. Considering the crime stated in R. Kelly's Mann Act claims is exposure to an STD with no prior information given to the women, there has to be proof that this was the purpose for arranging the said travels. It's however next to impossible that R. Kelly could have arranged for these two women, Azriel Clary and Faith Rogers, to travel to another state, such that he could purposely expose them to a disease without their prior knowledge that he had it. Just because it happened in another state does not necessarily mean that it was his reason for organizing the travels if he did this at all. On the record, the reason Azriel traveled to California on the encouragement of her mother was to attend R. Kelly's series of concerts while on his tour, which is not an act of criminal intent. And the same applies to Faith Rogers. An example of a case where the intention of travel became a major reason for acquittal was when trying the famous case of the House of Prostitution in Nebraska, where individuals who were running a house of prostitution took a vacation in another state with these women, but were strictly on holiday as the primary purpose for travel, leaving the acts of prostitution back in Nebraska and later returning to their usual acts back home. The fact that the trip to another state was not purposed for this illegal act saw them acquitted on claims they violated the Mann Act. The intention of the travel, which must be to commit the said crime, therefore does matter a great deal when addressing Mann Act charges. Even if the alleged crimes happened in the destination state, the fact that the travels by Azriel and Faith Rogers were for another purpose other than to expose them to an STD without their knowledge therefore means the Mann Act charges against R. Kelly as inappropriate. Having him acquitted on these could also aid his early exit from prison. The fourth and final open exit is the evidence of prejudice that saw the New York judge allow government to present over 40 bad act accusers as witnesses in court. These presented all kinds of evidence irrelevant to the case but only intended to place R. Kelly's entire life on trial. They came in with videos showing his interactions with his girlfriends when he was angry, and these were only intended to make the jury think, oh, what a bad guy. And like this they succeeded in getting the already prejudicial jurors even more excuses to prejudice the R&B king and hope to get away with it. We already explained in previous videos how some of these jurors answered screening questions during jury selection, showing they were more than ready to give unfair treatment to him, for they had watched the Surviving R. Kelly documentary and already hated him so much even before the trial started. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sasha@lfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.